Let's not go there. But let's just say she caught you. She's in the middle of a great story. She goes, yeah, I heard that.
Abby and I are close enough now.
I don't know.
Or maybe not.
I could be really close with someone, and I'd still prefer that they don't cut the mustard in front of me.
It was an accident.
One of my producers one time, I was sitting here. And pretty soon I'm like,
not to
I won't say her name, but I look back there and she goes, yeah, that was me.
That was not to get down this rabbit hole, but
in church, a rabbit hole.
In church in Williston, those pews were so, elegant, really.
The pew.
The wooden,
Wood.
class,
Yep.
and then, you had 5 kids, 7 of us come traipsing in, almost taking up the entire one, and then inevitably, I think my brother Randy would, it's Sunday, you probably just had some, it's Lutherans, so you probably ate big breakfast, and then you into church, and then just, and then my brother,
what did
I'm not sure what that was. I don't know how to make. Well, I do, but and my brother
airplane.
And Marge would, Randy, she'd, Randy. And he'd be pointing at me. I'm like, me? I didn't, what?
It wasn't me.
So now you do knock it off. I'm like, I didn't start any of this. That would be a typical Sunday. And I'm sure that was the same thing.
Yeah. We had fainters in front of us all the time. It'd get hot and then cram people into the church.
No.
And a couple of them would
Sun
go
just
fainting.
baking through those stained windows.
And then all of a sudden it was like, oh, catch that one. It's going down.
Yeah.
I had a friend who got into some of his worst trouble in church. There was a lady in front of him that was not small. And she always wore like a what would you call day shirt or day dress or whatever,
like
kind of the cotton one you just pull over. That's
right,
right. And she would get up and the back of her dress would be she kind of went commando, right?
So be sticky.
The back
sweaty?
of her dress would be between the two, the cheeks. Okay.
Did I say let's not go down this? I just
go
ahead.
Went commando.
Anyway, my buddy said, I said, what's
Why
the worst?
Are we here?
What's the worst trouble you ever got in? He said, well, when I pulled that out. I said, well, you got in trouble for that? He goes, no, when I put it back in. It was
my goodness gracious. I'm
just saying. It's a rabbit hole. He took me down.
I said, let's not go down that. I was just saying those that toot in church sit in their own pew.
Carolina barbecue sauce is made with mustard and served at
Carolina.
Well, hold on.
KFC.
No, because... No, I
don't think it's open here in town anymore.
Not P.F. Chang's, not.
But it was just south of the interstate on 40
Smoky
5th or 42nd, one of the two. I always forget those two. Let's just say that he's notorious. There's a clue.
B.I.G.
Okay, he's famous.
Okay. Oh, I got it, Dave.
Yep, famous Dave. Who, by the way, has been in this studio. The Dave. He worked in the George W. administration.
So mustard,
great guy.
Why in 1758? See, I didn't make this up. Look it up. Mustard was advertised for the first time in America. So it's like people realize that we can make money off mustard. Like this in 1758.
Yes,
people must have started utilizing mustard, and this mustard really came into his own.
See, the older you get, the less
its own.
The less you like spice, supposedly. Right?
Doesn't agree with people's constitution.
Is that why it is? I'm just the opposite. Yeah. The older I get, the more horseradish I'm using, the more spicy mustard I'm using.
You
the
would
more
be in the minority.
Red pepper I am, huh?
Yeah.
Because I'm using all those things big time.
Yeah, I think,
my roommate
I think
Gwen loves that stuff.
Yeah, one's body, I think, and again, but I think starts rejecting. You're asking your highway system to do... To
have an off-ramp everywhere?
Yeah, to divert more traffic when you get all that traffic of spice
It's a rabbit hole I didn't go down.
I know. That's just my assumption. So
I am, though. I'm starting the spicy mustard. I'm trying to think of what else. I use a ton of horseradish.
Well, let me ask you this. What a riveting Tuesday talker we've got going on today. Is there
She started it with the song.
In what way am I to blame for this topic?
Between what I'm deathly allergic to, but people love, between ketchup or catsup and mustard, which is used more in everyday cooking life?
Ketchup, no doubt about that. If
What?
you
Really?
talk to the Heinz people, it'd definitely be ketchup.
Okay.
1-800, I'll check it out. But Abby, wouldn't you say it'd be like 2-1?
But you
ketchup?
just took how many emails have you taken on mustard today and text? On the usage of mustard.
Are you saying just for cooking or
yeah,
in
just
general?
for cooking and as a condiment?
Oh, ketchup.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean,
like not even close?
Yeah, talk to.
I know a lot of
not
people.
even close.
Yeah.
Oh, well, bad question then.
Yeah.
My bad.
Be better.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Catch it here. Okay, as we speak, the machine is spelling ketchup better than I
What's
do.
the difference between ketchup and catsup? Thank you. Go ahead.
Mayonnaise. Heilman's mayonnaise is
there-
number one best-selling condiment in America.
There you go.
I would have never known that.
There you go.
I would not have guessed
I
that.
dip my fries in mayo.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay,
should try
according to NHDSC, ketchup is not far behind mustard in popularity.
National.
Wow.
Did
Did
you
you
just
hear
hear
that?
What did you say?
Ketchup
missed
is
it.
not far behind mustard
Thank you.
in popularity.
One for
Ketchup
all
is
those
the
mustard.
second favorite topping in America.
How
Even
is
so,
mustard ahead?
people prefer mustard with 71%.
They probably took that survey in Chicago. That's probably where they
this
did that
this
survey.
is hot dog, folks. Oh, well, maybe. Yeah, that's-
Like I said, they probably because
I would never have guessed that.
you put ketchup on a hot dog in Chicago, you're in a federal prison. You're in like Cook County Jail.
And I understand that because I don't, but I really thought ketchup was like 2-1.
I didn't.
If you're a waitress out there, here's my question of
a
you.
server.
Or
A server. Yeah, okay, sorry. If you're that individual
I'm
who's
helping
good
you.
enough to help a person get a great meal, I would be very curious what you think. Because they know better than anyone.
This will back up your point. At many tables that you sit at, how many times have you had to ask? There's ketchup on there, but you've had to ask for the mustard.
Yeah.
Like, could I get some mustard though too?
Right, well,
and then they pull it out of the back room like no one's used it before.
I'm having a hard time believing this stat. And I like mustard. This is not a thing against mustard for me. I'm not there.
Your final trivia question for today is, Abby, what board game would you find Colonel Mustard?
Clue.
And she's a winner. Welcome back, Joel. 1,100 points.
Clue is the best.
1,100 points for
Man,
Abby.
there are people that know how to cook in our
With
in our
mustard?
group. Well, with everything. These people are scary.
That's...
Is it sriracha? Is
Yeah.
that it?
Yeah.
Okay, you haven't had ketchup until you've had sriracha ketchup.
Good night,
In my
Irene.
household,
like that.
mustard is a big winner over ketchup all the time.
Thank you.
My spouse won't even touch ketchup.
Huh? We've got a... Here's what you found out. Number one
something
station
today.
in the market, top,
Yep.
this, that, ratings through the roof. You have found out something about the listeners of News and
I
Views.
did. Try Demar's Irish mustard and mischievous mustard, both pride of Dakota products.
Mischievous.
I would know.
Mischievous.
I bet you they got that at
mischievous.
Mindak Market out there
Yeah.
at the
wonder.
mall. I got to stop out there. All right.
Do either ketchup, or mustard aid in removing, do they have a use that's an edible use?
Like peanut butter removing the gum from your hair?
Coca-Cola removing blood off of whatever.
What?
Yeah.
I wouldn't think so.
Put a dirty penny in a
No.
jar and pour Coca-Cola in it.
I wouldn't think
and pick
ketchup.
it up, it'll be the
Ketchup's
cleaner.
sane stuff.
Yeah.
So neither of the,
Coca-Cola is like acid.
right, neither of the two are used for any type of...
Not that I know, but our text club would know better than us.
I
Clearly.
like an
am
education.
still really struggling.
Joel's just in awe right now of the fact that mustard's even.
I did
close to
not see
ketchup.
this coming. 237-5948 1-800-880-5346.
And you're my go-to
I
as far as
know.
the chef, the cook, the chef hat. I'm gonna make pork chop. It'll take 7 hours.
But here's the thing that I should think about.
Stuff it
In
with
the
garlic.
last 2 weeks at my house,
yeah,
I have used mustard way more than ketchup.
think about it.
I know.
We
But
should
then
have
I've
had-
been making a lot of deviled eggs.
Our account executives are going to start billing like French's and today because of all the mustard.
Stick around more. More 60
Riveting.
minutes.
We have more riveting
conversation
stuff,
right
yes.
after this. Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page, and send us a text anytime at 35270.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Dear
Mighty
Kansas
790.
Couch Potato Radio. Did you see that
from It Takes Two.
Doug Miller with the morning crew this morning.
Jerkins News Radio.
Amy Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Force.
Joel
Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Access, your home.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out. And just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just getting the greatest good. When we're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night, the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to address.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate, but also have a sense of
It's the only other.
Beatles.
It's the only other Mustard song. Yeah. Mean Mr. Mustard.
I haven't heard it.
Cannot say I've heard it.
They recorded this in a culvert, or where did they?
Sounds like there's like a little tuba in the back or something.
Joel, East Region Hockey tonight. We're in that part of the sports season.
Yes,
we got
my
East
nephew's
Region,
playing.
right?
Yes.
East Region Hockey. You've got in Class B girls. We're tiptoeing into like district / and/or regional. Some don't have. Some have super regionals, as you know. Some still play district games. So we're kind of tiptoeing into those play-in games. In that, Minnesota, obviously, we're starting to get into. So this is the time of the season where we've tweaked it up a little bit.
Let me ask you something.
Yes.
Should you be able to call him your nephew and he's your great nephew? If he's playing in the EDC for the West Fargo Packers,
yeah.
When you describe him, I mean, I could say Riley Prochnow.
I think you could say nephew. I
think
struggle with
so
that.
too.
Like, what about through marriage? Like, you have a sibling
that'd be the same
who
thing,
has
though,
a
right?
husband who has like a niece who has a daughter or son.
Right.
So it's their niece or daughter, but through marriage on their side. Then you, as the sibling that's removed from the,
Right.
Could you call also that person
Well,
your niece or nephew or whatever.
I have a brother-in-law in town here
Okay.
that has 2 boys and a girl.
And
one of those boys took a job down in our country during an internship to find out if he could get the job, right? But he had to put some time in.
Yeah.
Ended up proving that he was worth it, and they love having him, right?
Yes.
But while he did that, he spent 6 months living with us.
Yeah.
And so people would say, well, I'd say that's my nephew.
Yes, you would.
But, right? I mean,
think
he was
so.
my nephew, right?
I think
he's a Packer fan, so I didn't want to say his name.
But not he's a West Fargo Packer fan.
Yeah, well, he grew up as a Bismarck Century.
So probably not a Packer fan.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. See, you want me to sing the Century Fight song now? Or
Yeah, go ahead, do it now.
Just
Just get over it.
We are CENTU.
You know, okay, Bones, you'll appreciate this in the world that you live in every day, right? So he played in, I want to say, 2 state championship games with Bismarck Century. They lost both.
I probably called his game.
Right.
In fact, I think I did.
Right.
Yeah.
And his brother
I think I know the name.
played in 2 or 3, and he won. And so his brother would put on his championship ring. He'd knock on, let's just say it, Chandler's door.
Yeah.
So he'd knock on his door. He'd just stick his hand in and flick the light.
It's so cruel.
He'd say, time to get up. How cold is that? Only brothers can do that to brothers.
Packers skate at Red River tonight in East Region Boys Hockey. That's at Eagles Arena. And then North is at Central. That's at Purpur tonight at 7 p.m. And then Devils Lake and Davies skate tonight, and Cheyenne and South Shanley skate tonight in Boys East Region play.
So there's a lot of things cooking out there. There's a lot of tournaments. This time in between the Super Bowl and baseball season, I mean, for you who calls, 3 basketball games a week? 4?
Unbelievably.
How many basketball games
have I done?
Well, no. Would you even know that?
I don't. I'm not. Yeah. I know some people keep track, but 30 years.
But it isn't uncommon for you to do 4 games a week.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, does this time of year get boring for you because you're in the gym so much?
As long as not because that's the fun part. The Monday, Sunday, the prep time. I got to stay ahead because I know I leave for Kansas City tomorrow. I've got to have all my ducks in a row, which I did yesterday, and just going to finish up tonight. But I have to have that. But then it's a 2-day trip. Because then you're jumping on a plane, playing a game, jumping on a plane, flying to Tulsa, and then you got Oral Roberts, and then all those stats change to the next day. Then you got to get down to a business office and a hotel, get all those, So it's just a repetitive every week. The key is to stay ahead. Joel.
Joel.
Failing to plan is planning to fail. That's our DJ Coulter quote.
Can I just say this? For someone like me, this is between now and baseball is downtime. I don't dislike basketball. I think the game is great, but I'm not going to sit down and schedule anything around an NBA game.
Yeah,
I'm not.
Yeah. Even though the Wolves are playing, playing tonight, they're playing really well.
Somebody said mustard seed in summer sausage and pickles.
Ooh.
They are right about that. I apologize to everyone for not remembering that. You've got to have mustard seed in your sausage. You do.
Really?
Oh, God, yeah. Another one. My great-grandmother used to put mustard. Are you ready for it?
In or on? What are you going on?
On
eggs.
Her pancakes.
No, pancakes.
Her pancakes.
Someone called in and said in Canada they put mustard on their eggs.
Really?
Another person says I don't even have mustard in the house. So thanks for starting it, Bones.
So today on MSUM campus we're doing an ice jam, we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate, but also have a sense of.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out. And just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just getting the greatest good. When we're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night. The hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to address.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page, and send us a text anytime at 35270.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Dear
Mighty
Kansas
790.
Couch Potato Radio. Did
JJ
you
Gordon
see that
from It
game?
Takes Two.
Doug Miller with the morning crew this morning.
News Radio.
Amy Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Force. Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your host.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
with you, Abby. You look absolutely fabulous. How many times have I told you that in your life, huh?
I think that's the second time.
I'm not exactly the big compliment guy when it comes to all of those things, but you do. You look tan, you look happy.
The vacation glow.
Did you look for a job while you were down there? This is the first time we've seen each other, 2 weeks?
Yeah, since
2
before
weeks.
I left.
Yeah, I'm back in studio getting a chance to visit with you. But yeah, this whole tan thing,
I'm into it.
You're not an SPF 50, are you?
No, but also I don't think that SPF 50 and higher is really that effective. I'm like at SPF 30 and then especially in Mexico, you got to reapply.
See, I would, with your complexion and everything, I was shocked you even used it.
I don't really at the lake, but in Mexico when the sun is so much stronger, I definitely do.
I went to my local credit union right before summer started, and I took out a loan for sunscreen for me. I mean, it's just, I talk about, and then you are around these people who care for you dearly, who are sweet people, and who just annoy the ever-living out of you, right? Yeah. And you're sitting there, and all they say, reapply. Have you reapplied? Yeah. Have you put, keep your hat on. And then they start buying you the older you get these, I don't know what you call them, kind of hats. The big brim all the way around hats. Yeah. The baseball cap doesn't do it anymore, Joel. And I'm like, all right.
They do. I mean, those big ones help. No, you have to reapply. And I'm bad at that when I'm out at the lake in the summer. But in Mexico, when I haven't seen the sun in months, I was reapplying, and I did get a little sunburnt.
Everybody thinks that the job you and I do here is not in touch with people's lives. At times that we go too far afield. I think right now when a lot of people woke up this morning, they said, I hope Heitkamp and Miller talk about sunscreen.
Yeah.
Because it's a real big concern in my life today.
Real big topic in February.
I will tell you this. I've gotten a sunburn on a lake outside fishing in the middle of the winter.
Yeah.
And it was a bad one.
You don't think about it, but you can. Or like a windburn.
Exactly.
Ugh.
All right, let's get to work. I got a couple of things to talk about that we're going to make sure we do today. We're going to visit with North Dakota Dem NPL candidate for the United States Senate. She's an assistant professor at the University of Jamestown. She's got her doctorate in agriculture engineering and biorenewable resource and technology. And so she understands North Dakota. Katrina Christensen is what I would name her, and I got a chance to visit with her, and I got to tell you, she was scary bright when I visited with her. And we'll visit with her today at some point, get a chance to kind of maybe pull her in between classes, that type of thing. Also, John Glover's going to join us. Now, for you NDSU fans out there, keep this in mind. You can't run these campuses without money, right? And NDSU's student population, the last numbers I've seen, have gone down. So, you're sitting there wondering, okay, is the dedication to the place? Are people still loving it the way they have in the past? Well, yes. I think yes is the absolute positive answer. They set out a goal of what they would raise, which is $400 million. And before the deadline, they ended up bringing in $586 million. Now, let me point a couple of things out on that before John comes on. Number one, I would say that nobody better tell me it's just a terrible economy out there and we're just doing bad, okay? Because there's some money out there. There's some real money out there. I was looking at some stats today of companies that were complaining about and whining about inflation and what they were telling their stockholders and, everything else in regards to their profit share, their profit earnings. These guys, quite frankly, right now see an opportunity and they're going to take it and they're going to make money doing it. And they're getting record salaries and they're getting record stock. And in the meantime, they're raising prices. And it's costing you $1 or $2 to do that. And so I don't know. It's capitalism is what it is. It's about whether or not you can deliver a product. But know this, that if you're Ford or Toyota or Chevy or some of those costs, everybody who thinks that it's all competitive, it's not. It really isn't. They're reliant on a manufacturer, not manufacturers for certain products. And because of that, prices can go up. You can sit there and you can wait. You can do all of those things. Now, everyone who's ever listened to this show knows that I am an advocate for the men and women that every day get up and they put their boots on and they go out there and they do what they can to work hard for an individual that gave them a job, right? I mean, they know that that's the group of people that I look to and I say that's where I come from, and that's a group that I'm not going to forget. I'm always going to remember that because, quite frankly, I still see myself in that group. But let me point this out to tick off all you business owners, people out there looking for employees right now. Number one, it isn't unemployment that's keeping them from you. That isn't it. It isn't, boy, they're getting paid so much by the government. That horse was out of the barn a long, long time ago. I remember complimenting Doug Burgum because he took the 3-month approach to what the federal government sent out to the states to administer when they could have had 6 months of unemployment. Doug Burgum said, you know what? We've got jobs. We've got jobs waiting for you right now. You don't need to be on unemployment. We're going to cut you down to 3 months. And I complimented him on that. I did. Looking back, I'm not sure that I was right because of the fact that if those individuals were the individuals that weren't going back to work and were needed in this workplace, then we'd see them come back. But they weren't. I mean, they weren't. They weren't the individuals that so many businesses are looking to. And so I pulled this up and see if this makes sense to you. This is about an individual saying that, this is him watching businesses complain about their labor shortage after 40 years of downsizing, right-sizing, restructuring, outsourcing, mergers, jobs sent overseas, automation, on-call scheduling, and converting employees to independent contractors. I just feel terrible about their labor shortage. Says a lot, doesn't it? I mean, which one of those isn't true? I mean, tell me that, ladies and gentlemen. Which one isn't true? Have some of these corporations that are now looking for employees, have they used downsizing? Have they used a term right-sizing? Have they restructured? Have they outsourced to where now they're sitting there going, maybe that subcontractor really isn't the one that I could use. Maybe they're not coming up with it. What about the mergers, right? What about all those jobs sent overseas that now you can't rely on because of a pandemic and everything that went with it, right? And all of a sudden you're sitting there looking for electrical components that you can't find because you chose not to be in control of them here in our country because labor costs were going to be too high. Then you look at on-call scheduling. Now, I want to go back to my time in the North Dakota Senate, and I want to tell you about something. I walked the line along with a good friend, actually two good friends. One of the individuals I was serving with in the legislature then had been the former union president at Bobcat over in Melrose. This was before the Doosan era. But they would walk up to an individual, and he might have or she might have a wedding on Saturday. And that wedding could be for their niece, their godchild, whoever. And they'd say, you got to work tomorrow. And they'd say, well, I can't. I've got this family thing. No, you got to work tomorrow. And they had such a lineup of people waiting for them, that just wanted the job. Man, you got health insurance. You got fairly decent pay. You got all this. And so those workers were in a terrible position as far as being treated like human beings, like you would treat your employee, saying, oh, okay, well, get to your niece's wedding. Get to your godchild's wedding kind of a thing. They were being treated like total crap, okay? So they went out. That's right. They went out. They went on strike. They didn't go on strike for money. They didn't go on strike for benefits. They went on strike for respect, for being treated like human beings. And I walked the line with them. I did. Now ask yourself this. Is that same company desperate for workers today? Yes. Could some of those workers have come through the generations with the individuals that worked there before? Yes. You could have made it much more of a family situation, a family company. And there's plenty of examples out there of that. There are. The biggest concern that we have right now in North Dakota economically is we don't have people for the jobs. And we're sitting there right now, and we've got a United States senator that ran based upon jobs. Well, are you going to say that he succeeded that? Are you going to say that he's the reason that we have those jobs? Let me ask you this. At what point then do you transition and say people? We need more people. And I think whatever those job openings are, take them times 2, because many of those employers are saying, look, I give up. This is going to be the size of my company. I'm just not going to continue or even try to grow. Let's get to the weather cave and find the man, the legend, Too Tall Tom Szymanski. Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page, and send us a text anytime at 35270.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out. And just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just getting the greatest good. When we're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night, the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate but also have a sense of
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Dear
Mighty
Kansas
790.
Couch Potato Radio. Did you see
Gordon from
that?
It Takes Two.
Doug here with the morning crew this morning.
Falterkins News Radio.
Katie Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Forces.
Too Tall Tom
Joel
Szymanski.
Heitkamp here on the
Her,
Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your host.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
Thank you to that great listening audience that we have out there along the News and Views radio network. And, of course, so many people are listening in Montana as we speak right now through the Great Keys 660 radio. That's right. Jeanette Rankin, she was, I guess, the only woman ever to serve Congress from Montana. And she voted no. She was a pacifist. And she got elected as a Republican to the U.S. House, and she voted no against the war. A friend of mine sent me the Gerald Nye, which was the name that I was thinking of. Gerald Nye, famous isolationist senator. He was ours here in North Dakota, but he didn't vote. He did vote to go to war after Pearl Harbor. I don't know how you would have voted no. I mean, I don't know how you could have possibly voted, said, no, we're not going to war. I mean, we got attacked, and Germany declared war on us right after Japan did that. I'm going to ask you this, though. Should Ukraine be our concern? Is this a NATO issue? They're not a member of NATO. In fact, some might argue that that's one of the big concerns. Is the Biden administration taking the right approach? I think they're taking the right approach on this, folks, by pointing out to the world what Russia's doing, how they're doing it, making sure they know in real time of what's happening, so that as these dominoes start falling, people know what happened here. I think it's really easy for people who might hate the president to just sit there and say, oh, he's the cause of it. Russia's actually the good role player in this. Ask yourself if you would have done that in other administrations, because it wouldn't matter to me if Donald Trump was president or Joe Biden was president. I don't see Russia as my friend. I don't see Russia as the people of America's friend. And so I just believe when you take a step back, what you're going to see in the history books is a true tell of what's being ratcheted up here on the border of Russia and Ukraine. Now, are they right to do it? Absolutely not. Should we be in it? Should we be the one fighting it? That's what I'm asking of you. Because the more and more that this gets ratcheted up, the less and less it seems like we have the support of some of our NATO partners behind us. So there's an ocean between us. I understand that. And, of course, we're the big stick, right? The U.S. is the one that NATO members pay to be their defense. And it's a policy that we've developed through the years, too. We don't want Germany to have a great, big, strong military. We don't mind having U.S. bases in Germany. In fact, NATO, it could be argued, has done a pretty good job of not putting this world at war again, right? Because it's like, look, you punch one of these guys in the nose, they're all coming after you. So let's be careful here. So it becomes an issue of how important the situation in Ukraine is. Is this no different than, when Hitler first started attacking countries that he knew he could take over in 1-2 days type of a thing? I'm curious, because I see a scenario where the U.S. is very close to being involved in a war with Russia. I think the invasion is going to happen. We've had experts on this show to tell you it's going to happen. We've had Thomas Ambrosio on to come on and explain to you, somebody who understood the region, the leaders, and everything else that goes with it. And I asked him, do you think, he said, absolutely, it's going to happen. This invasion is going to happen. So the only real question that we have or should have for ourselves is, what do we do about it? I mean, what do we do about it? I saw some reports from the Ukrainian people saying that NATO is overstating all this. They're the ones that are ratcheting it up. They're the reason that this, all right, you've got, a couple 100,000 people now on the edge of Ukraine that are Russian, loaded up into tanks and everything else, and it's our fault? At what point do we say good luck? Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page, and send us a text anytime at 35270.
So today on MSUM campus we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate but also have a sense of
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek
Mighty
Hansen,
790.
Couch Potato Radio. Did you see that
from
game?
It Takes Two.
Doug Miller with the morning crew this
Paul
morning.
Jerkins News Radio.
Amy Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Force.
Too tall.
Joel Heitkamp here on the
Third,
Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Access, your host.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out, and just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just getting the greatest good. We're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night. Got out of the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to
That we do not belong in Ukraine, that it isn't our problem. Some saying most NATO countries do not want Ukraine to be part of NATO. In Germany gets a ton of gas from Russia, right? And so to me, there is no part of the world other than Europe that has been under attack by countries around it. And when I say countries around it, Europe is countries, but my point is this. If they're not worried, why are we worried? If they're more worried about a gas pipeline from Russia and they're not willing to live without it, then why would we be? I'm not trying to sound like a complete isolation pacifist. If you remember, I was the one that spoke out against going to war in Iraq, and it was incredibly unpopular. I remember being told that we got calls here about you got to fire a Heitkamp, and he's the one that is really, against America and at this time of terrorism, and man, he doesn't get it and all this. And I said, no. And then once we got into it, believe me, I was all over going to Afghanistan and fighting down Osama bin Laden and Al-Qaeda and the people that were involved in all that. That being said, there was no evidence in what I saw, in what good news reports were out there, in what many of the congressional delegation were saying. There was no evidence that showed that Iraq was the problem. I mean, did we not like Saddam Hussein? Yeah, we hated him. But how many Saddam Husseins were there out there in the world, right? We had already been in a fight with him when we kicked his butt. George H.W. did that. Some would argue he didn't go far enough. That's fine. Make any argument you want. I always respected him for it because he didn't try building a country. He didn't go all the way to Baghdad, So the hit he took for that, in my personal opinion, is what drove things back in the Iraq War, because George W. was always ticked at how that went down for his dad, as was Dick Cheney. Now, there's weird reasons that people ever get into war. Weird reasons. But I know this. Once you're in it, you get behind your country. You do what you can to support your country, because that's what you do as a country. You stick up for each other. Doesn't matter whether you're Republican or Democrat or independent, black, white. I don't care what your color is, who you are. Get in that foxhole. We're all fighting for this together, right? Isn't that the point? At a time like this, the question, though, is before you get into that fight, before it, do you have the opportunity to go ahead and raise the question of whether or not you should be in it? And that's the phase right now we are in yet. That's the phase we are in. Let's get to AJ. AJ, you're on as soon as I hit the right button. AJ, you're on News and Views. Go ahead, AJ.
Yeah, good morning, Joel.
Morning to you.
You said a phrase that really struck me, and it was, should Ukraine be our concern? And all of a sudden, I got a big memory back to what a guy that served in World War II talked about. And it was something similar was said back in the late 30s. Should Poland really be our concern now, since Germany took it over? Now, Russia's a nuclear power. They're about it becoming, Ukraine becoming NATO. Not saying that we should put Ukraine in NATO, because then they're going to worry about us putting first strike capabilities maybe there. That's probably what they're worried about. But we got to be concerned about something like that, just like we would be concerned if all of a sudden China starts surrounding Taiwan with a bunch of their naval forces. I mean, we'd send in our Navy just to kind of quell them down. So I think, yes, Ukraine has to be our concern.
Well, I think Poland is a completely fair comparison. I do, AJ. If you think that's what Putin's motivation is, which is world dominance, which is my personal feelings about Putin is he wants the old USSR back. He doesn't want Russia. He wants the old USSR back, and he didn't like the fact that Ukraine got away from him.
So he's strike a deal with Putin, said, okay, you back off of Ukraine, we won't put them in NATO unless you show more teeth, then we will consider it. Because that's the only thing that's going to throw Putin off. Because if Ukraine's in NATO and he attacks NATO, we're at war.
Well, and the other part, though, is, you go back and you use World War II as an example. There were a lot of people telling Hitler that, hey, as long as that's all, the further you go. Hey, yep, as long as we can make peace, then that's as far as you can go. Heck, in Great Britain, that was the position that many people were anxious to take. If it wasn't for Churchill, I'm not sure that Great Britain wouldn't be speaking German right now. So I'm with you, AJ. I get it. I understand it. I just need to know more about why. And it better include other countries. It better not just include us picking up the bar tab, I guess is my point. Let's get to Jim. You're on News and Views, Jim.
Hello, Joel.
Hello.
See, I don't believe it's worth going to war with Russia over Ukraine, and I'm going to be the devil's advocate today. Ukraine, Belarus, Crimea were all parts of Russia for a long, long time. In fact, they lost tens of millions of lives defending those three countries in World War II. 90% of all the casualties in Europe in World War II were Russians. So you can see his motive about trying to reconstitute the old Soviet Union. Although I'm not on his side, but you can understand his reasoning. I think a lot of people in Russia are with him.
Yeah. Do you feel that this is a curtain, though, when it comes to Putin, that when you draw back the curtain, the only thing dangerous behind that curtain isn't going to be what he has, military force, economically, which is his biggest weak point, but the only thing that's scary behind that curtain potentially is China, Jim?
Well, I think China's a way bigger threat than Russia. Russia's got an economy the size of California, where China is soon going to outdistance us.
Yeah. My point in raising China, though, Jim, was any allegiance that they have together.
Well, I think they're allies. They've been meeting recently, in fact. The Russian and the Chinese foreign ministers have been meeting. They've been forming a stronger and stronger bond all the time against us.
Yep. That's what behind the curtain, what's behind the curtain that a person should be a little bit scary of. Let's get to Jamie. Jamie, you're on News and Views. Go ahead, Jamie. All right. I'm going to let you go. Call back in. I heard him talk right at the end. Was that you, Ab?
No, that was him, but call back, Jamie.
237-5948, 1-800-880-5346. I don't want Jamie thinking that just because Abby didn't like him and hung up on him, that it's, what are you shaking your head for?
I'm sure Jamie had great stuff to say. Call back. But be quicker.
Yeah, be quicker. I want to get to some of these text messages. Joel, does Ukraine want to be a member of NATO? Is there a reason they are not? I would feel better about defending Ukraine against Russian aggression if they were. I don't know if they want to be a member of NATO. I know that I wouldn't be jumping up and down to have them be a member of NATO. I don't know what the criteria would be. NATO shouldn't just be about, boy, this one can be tough to defend, though. And if that's what my thinking is behind it, then I'm flawed in what I'm thinking as well. Joel, Biden has become dependent on Russia's oil while shutting down our own pipelines. He won't do anything to Putin. What pipelines has Biden shut down? We're drilling more oil than we could possibly drill. I mean, we're sitting here in North Dakota producing oil, getting all the benefits of a high oil price. I mean, we are. What all these people who think that this administration has been in a war against the oil companies, the only way that they can make that argument, and it would be true, and I would support them in that argument, is on fuel burning combustible engines. That's where they're right. The fact that this administration and many like them that support them believe that, we need to go all electric when it comes to our vehicles. So on that one, I'll yield. I'll agree. But I would raise this question. When we produce energy here as well, right? We have all types of wind towers. We could have more. We have all types of natural gas. We could have more. I mean, we could have clean burning, fuels that we can put into charging people's cars. Is there a potential win we better get ready for here? Is there a potential win? 237-5948, 1-800-880-5346. This is what you got to deal with, Ab. Ready? I told you this when you took the job.
Okay, go for it.
People are going to write the truth, and you got to make sure you get it on air. So you ready for it? I think Russia is still mad at us because Rocky beat the Russian. I'm sure they want a rematch. Let's get to the weather cave and visit with Too Tall Tom. Tom?
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek
Mighty
Hansen,
790.
Couch Potato Radio. Did you see that?
It Takes Two.
Doug Miller with the morning crew this
Paul
morning.
Jerkins News Radio.
Amy Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Force.
Too Tall Tom. Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Access, your home.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out. And just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just getting the greatest good. We're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night. Got out of the hospital last night, and I said, "Man, I'm going to do this." When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate, but also have a sense of.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page, and send us a text anytime at 35270. store, and that is Sarah Heinrich. Sarah?
We have grains trending lower as we saw at the open as well, with March corn down 14 1/4 at 641, December at 589, down 8 3/4. March wheat falls 21 1/4 at 944, September at 907, down 21 3/4. March soybeans 13 cents lower at 15.57. New crop November at 14.30, down 12 1/4. In the cattle market, we are seeing some green, with March feeder cattle $1.20 higher at 168.08. April live cattle at 146.40 and nickel higher. In April lean hogs up 225 at 104.58. With your markets, I'm Farm and Ranch Director Sarah Heinrich for the News and Views Radio Network from the Enterprise Sales Ag Studio. Enterprise Sales of LA City, your grain handling and storage experts.
Thank you, Sarah. Let's get to Jamie. Jamie, good to have you back on, bud.
Thanks, Joel. I learned I have to be smarter than the mute button when I'm calling into you. So.
Welcome to my life, Jamie.
Well, I kind of disagree with you a bit about Ukraine. I'll start by saying I don't think we should put troops on the ground in Ukraine when Russia invades. But, after the fall of the Soviet Union, we took 5,000 nuclear weapons away from Ukraine in agreement that we would protect them, that we would not let them get invaded. And I'm worried about our word as a country with our allies if we let another country invade an ally. In the next 50 years, China's going to continue to become powerful, a bigger superpower, and we're going to need our allies. And if we continue to send this message, this is another example, continue to send a message to our allies that when push comes to shove, we don't got your back, we're going to find ourselves without many allies at the end of the day. And that's why I think we need to take this seriously. I think we need to do things. We need to do everything we can to make it clear this is not acceptable to us at all.
You're making it pretty tough to argue against, Jamie. I'm not going to lie to you. The only red flag for me was some of the statements that came out of Ukraine. They didn't seem to be jumping up and down, and some of it seemed to be us or them claiming that we were exaggerating the situation. And maybe that just got me ticked off where I lost my common sense, Jamie, but I'm curious what your thoughts are about that.
I think their leadership does not want panic in the streets, and if their president starts saying, we're about to be attacked, all hell's going to break loose. The same thing would happen here. I think they're trying to keep it as calm as they can so they don't lose it early.
Yeah. Well, and that might be true. I have a hard time arguing against when we're telling people to de-weaponize and saying we got your back, and then we don't have your back. That's a pretty tough argument you made, Jamie. So appreciate your call, man. Thanks for calling in. Want to throw this out to you, though. There are a lot of corporate interests that involve Ukraine. There are a lot of people that saw as an opportunity. We have a good North Dakotan over there in a Ukrainian prison, right? We have an individual waiting to get out and to come back to the U.S. That went over there and took a chance on, starting a farm, starting a life, helping out, realizing there's a potential for agriculture. And here he finds himself because of what many point to is, kind of a different relationship, that he finds himself in jail. His sisters have come on this show trying to use every tool they can to raise awareness to get him out of there. Kevin Kramer went over there to try to get him out of there, and none of that's happened. So, I'm not saying that that's the end-all be-all for my support for Ukraine, but there are individuals that are close to all of us here. I think you wouldn't be very surprised if you found out that Ronnie Offit and RDO have an interest in Ukraine. I don't think that you'd be very surprised if you found out that Case IH has a footprint in Ukraine. I think that many people saw this for what it was, quite frankly, which was an opportunity. And, along with those type of investments come risk, right? I mean, it comes the risk of, hey, I'm doing a business in another country with another government, and none of that should lead towards war. Those are choices that businesses make as well. Now, what Jamie just said is a whole different approach, a whole different look, and I'm glad he called in to share it. Katrina Christensen is going to join us. She is seeking the Dem NPL nomination for the United States Senate. She's a professor at the University of Jamestown, and we'll visit with Katrina right after this.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate, but also have a sense of
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out, and just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just giving the greatest good. When we're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. You know, we don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. You know, and all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night. Got out of the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. You know, that's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to address.
Robertson here with another News Radio.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek
Mighty
Hansen,
790
Couch Potato Radio. Did you see that?
It Takes Two.
Doug here with the morning crew this morning.
News Radio.
Amy Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michael, Voices Forces. Too tall. Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Access, your home.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust. Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page, and send us a text anytime at 35270.
Success. Let me just, I don't know any other way to say it than it's a success. The initial goal for In Our Hands, the campaign for North Dakota State University, was $400 million. That's $400 million. You know what they brought in, folks? $586 million, and that was done through their foundation. That he's going to get mad at me saying this, but I'm a John Glover fan. I believe that he is good at his job, and now he gets a chance to talk about all the people he worked with at that job and how they got the job done. John, good to have you on News and Views.
Good morning, Joel. Great to be back with you.
This is a legacy, John, not just for you, but for the donors. I get that. But this is money that will be there on that campus working when you and I are long gone.
Well, that's exactly right, Joel. But it's also at work right now. I mean, this campaign has been ongoing for 6 years, and already well over $100 million has been put to work in scholarships and our building projects and programs and supporting our faculty. And yes, there's more dollars yet to come. Many of those dollars are permanently endowed. And so what you spend is, a percentage of the annual interest earnings. But this campaign is making a real difference right now. And so the legacy has already begun.
So let's talk about that a little bit, because the people that give you this money do it for the good of education and North Dakota State University. I would guess there's a lot of different motivations in terms of programs, in terms of what brings them to the table in the first place. But walk me through that, because at some point you and your team knocked on somebody's door.
Yeah, that's right. This we like to call this a contact sport. And the reality is, when it comes to giving and a giving heart and passion for what one cares about, it's a personal conversation. And you can't have those conversations happen if we're not knocking on doors and making a few calls and while we're alums and friends, being willing to sit down and make that happen. It's their passion. I mean, we are here to facilitate what they want to do to make a difference for NDSU. And this is a place, not unlike many others, colleges, universities, so on, that, where a young person comes to spend 4 or 5 years of their life, probably at the most transformative period of their life, and get a degree, go off into the world, make a difference. And when they reflect back on all that they have achieved, this ends up being a place that tends to rise to the top when somebody thinks about philanthropy, whether they want to give while they live or leave us as a part of their estate plan and create a legacy long after they're gone. So, but at the end of the day, it's a contact sport, and our staff and volunteers have been doing a lot of that over the last few years.
John, how often is the money tied? That it needs to go to this department or that department. I mean, how often is it tied? And yeah, we'll give you some money, but I need it to go to ag research, for example.
99% of it, Joel, is designated for specific purposes according to what the donor is interested in, and that it aligns with institutional priorities as well. So the notion that this is a big pot of accessible, unrestricted dollars is wrong. These are designated dollars following a donor's intent to make a difference for our campus community, and generally these dollars support scholarships. They support our faculty. So things like ag research, you mentioned, is supported through endowing or supporting our excellent faculty in ag research. And those funds go to help his or her scholarship agenda. New building projects or renovated building projects. And we have, a number of facilities on this campus that have benefited from designated gifts to support those projects, and then certainly programs. So this is not a big empty pot of money. These are not replacement dollars from state appropriations. These dollars partner with state investment to lift up this entire university. And that applies at any of our other public institutions in this state as well. We're partners with state investment. We're not replacement dollars.
Let me ask you this, and I've got to ask you it, whether or not it is or not. I'm curious what your answer is. How big of a role does the Bison football team play in all this? I'm sure you get asked that question. That so many of these people are all about education in fields that they've succeeded in, but in the end, there's a reason you have homecoming, is because you get them back to the campus. I mean, how big of a role does a football program like NDSU have play in your fundraising?
Well, I certainly would not want to see what the role looked like if the football team wasn't winning. But what I would say is Bison football is a conversation starter, just like the weather up here in North Dakota. When you sit down and have a cup of coffee or lunch or over a meal, that conversation usually starts with some pleasantries and casual conversation. And Bison football is a part of our conversation. And the great thing about it is it's a positive one. And so from there, we end up just engaging in fantastic dialogue. At the end of the day, yes, Bison football, Bison athletics, a significant portion of this campaign certainly is supporting athletics. But so much of it and more is supporting than what a donor at the end of the day cares most about at this place. Often, their home academic program, an area that their business is aligned with, that they're interested in, other parts of campus. And so, again, Bison football helps in so many ways. And we wouldn't have it any other way, certainly, because it's a great conversation starter.
John Glover is head of NDSU's foundation. He's the president. He and his staff got the job done. They set out a goal for 400. They got over $500 million. If I'm looking at the total right here, John, can I ask you in regards to what the money? Does it come right away? Do people write you checks right away? Or is this something that, hey, we'll pick away at it, we'll give you so much a year? I mean, or is everyone a little different?
Yep, everyone's a little different. We have donors that are cutting checks for the full amount of what they want to give up front. We have donors that pledge now and pay over time. We have donors that, as I mentioned earlier, put us in their estate plan and document that with us. And then we have donors that, Joel, will do a combination of all three. And as the great thing about Alma Mater is that she kind of stays with you through your life. And as your life's journey unfolds and your relationship with the university unfolds, and your life unfolds, your priorities might change a little bit, and your ability to give now and give more later. I mean, all of those just unfold, and so we come alongside for the long journey. And again, there's just so many different ways that a donor can get involved. What I would say I'm going to round up just because, and I like to say, it's more than $500 million, right, with a B. But generally, about a quarter of this campaign is through estate gifts. So these are gifts that, documented today. We will see them at some point in the future. But I can tell you that during this stretch, we've had donors who early in the campaign documented those gifts and then decided they wanted to see their gift at work while they're living. And so they paid ahead. And again, those are dollars now being put to work and making a difference for our students and faculty.
John, do you ever get crosswise with the family of the donor? I mean, they're giving a lot of money here. Do they ever knock on your door after that fact and say, Mom and Dad died here? I know we made a commitment, but by God, you're not getting it. I mean, I don't mean to put a cloud over what is a tremendous success. I'm just curious.
Yeah, we do have an attorney on staff that helps us navigate some of the trickier things regarding relationships and donor compliance and making sure that our gift agreements are meeting everyone's needs. But what you describe is a rarity, to be truly honest. But certainly when you're dealing with people and their emotions and you're dealing with money, there's a lot of things that certainly unfold.
Sure. A huge success. John, let me give you some advice. You probably already have done it. I know you. You're a stand-up guy. Take that staff out for supper, would you?
We've already done it. We've even given them a little bit of time to relax this year. So we'll give them a little bit of time. Then we got to get back at it.
There's a lot of NDSU fans that would want me to tell you a great job, so I just did it. Good job, John.
Thanks, Joel. Appreciate the time.
John Glover, ladies and gentlemen, with the foundation at NDSU. To the cave we go, to Too Tall Tom Szymanski, who has control now. He can make...
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page, and send us a text anytime at 35270.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek
Mighty
Hansen, Couch Potato Radio. Did you see that?
It Takes Two.
Doug Miller with the morning crew this morning.
News Radio.
Amy Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Force.
Too Tall Tom. Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your host.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out. And just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just getting the greatest good. When we're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night, the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate but also have a sense of
Work 237-5948, 1-800-880-5346. Let's get to Herb. Herb, you are on News and Views. Go ahead.
Okay, Joel, you asked about the pipeline. It was the Keystone pipeline that he closed the day after he was elected. Okay? You asked, so I'm telling you.
Yeah, the Keystone Pipeline's open, right?
No, that's closed.
Yeah.
Still closed.
No, I thought we were pumping oil through it, Herb.
No. That's closed. It's been closed since he took office.
Okay.
So
I will gladly check into it, Herb. Thank you.
Okay.
For the information.
One more thing.
Yep.
The Ukraine problem was mainly because of the debacle in Afghanistan.
What debacle are we talking about, Herb?
The debacle of not getting the people out when they should have, the debacle of closing the military base before they got all the U.S. people out of there, the debacle of leaving all our allies behind the lines to be imprisoned or shot.
Let me ask you a couple questions about that, Herb.
Okay.
You say it was a debacle pulling the Ukrainian or pulling out of Afghanistan. It wasn't pretty. I mean, there's nobody going to say it wasn't pretty.
Okay, good.
Why was it done? Why wasn't it done right in the 4 years before? Why when I was promised in a campaign and somebody had the majority in the Senate and the House and the in charge of the military, why wasn't it done in any of those 4 years before?
Well, I'm not sure I can answer that, but Trump did have a plan to withdraw, and he would have done it the right way.
How long before you implement a plan? 4 years isn't enough time?
Well, I guess maybe it took too long. I won't disagree with that, but you don't do it without a plan, and that's what Biden did. So.
Let me ask you this as well, Herb, because you sound like a good, honest man. If you look at the pullout of Afghanistan, and we look at where the Afghan army was, that we had spent a lot of time, a couple of decades developing, and you look at where the Afghan army went, how were we going to pull out where it wasn't going to be ugly? And I got 50 seconds for you.
Well, first of all, it probably was going to be ugly, but on a much lower scale. First of all, you don't close the airport, the military airport, and have to use an airport controlled by the Russians or whoever, and then have to ask and beg their permission to let us put our people on their planes when we had a fully operational airport.
Well, I would add to that, Herb, is that operational airport was there before. I mean, that opportunity was there before. Thank you, Herb. There's no question it was ugly, but there's also no question that he kept his word. He got us out of Afghanistan, and I'll sleep just fine with the ugly to get out. When we come back, let's go to a Senate candidate right after this.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate, but also have a sense of
Jefferson here with another Don News Radio. Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek
Mighty
Hansen,
790.
Couch Potato Radio. Did you see that
from It Takes Two.
Doug Miller with the morning crew this morning.
News Radio.
Amy Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michael, Voices Force.
Too tall, Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Access, your home.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page. And send us a text anytime at 35270.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out, and just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just getting the greatest good. We're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night. Got out of the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to.
Pipeline with the Keystone Pipeline. Thank you to my buddy who I've hunted with many times for reminding me, and for you in our text club at the Eye Consultants of North Dakota text club at 35270. It's not built. I mean, it's not done. It's not being built. And yes, there was a strong position from the U.S. government and from the Biden administration on that. I would add this. When people think of the Keystone Pipeline, don't act as though the oil industry in North Dakota wanted it. There was a push to allowing them to put some oil in that pipeline. They'd take a pipeline over to Montana, hook it in, that type of thing. But if you talk to the big players, if you talk to Harold Hamm, for example, it's tar sand. It's not the cleanest oil you're ever going to find in the world, but it is a competitor in Canada. And so let's not assume that it's all good hunky-dory for us here in the upper Midwest. It was good for Canada. So let's keep that in mind as well. I had a chance to meet Katrina Christensen, quite frankly, last night and visit with her about her run for the United States Senate. She is a professor at the University of Jamestown. She's an assistant professor there, received her doctorate in agricultural engineering and biorenewable resources and technology. She went to Iowa State University to do all of that. But, you know, my point is there's a depth there. There's a dedication there, and she wants to be the next United States Senator for the state of North Dakota. Katrina, good to have you on News and Views.
Well, thank you, Joel, for that kind introduction. I'm excited to be here.
Let me ask this. Why?
Why? Well, because I am deeply concerned about my community and state not being represented. We're really underrepresented here. Hoeven doesn't say or do anything for us North Dakotans. He does a great job, really. He doesn't have to do anything. You know, he could really be a swing vote right now and bring the resources that would really, enhance our prosperity in the state. But he doesn't want to do the work. He doesn't want to step out of line, right?
So give me some examples of that. Give me areas that drew your attention enough so that you would say, you know what, I'm going to get in this race. I'm going to make this run. I'm going to take on a guy with way, way more money than me. Give me some examples.
Well, you're exactly right. He does have a lot more money than me. He has a lot of privilege. And I think that with that privilege, he has kind of lost sight of what matters to the people here in North Dakota. So one of my big concerns is the cost of healthcare for seniors and for families. The cost of healthcare is greater than inflation most years, right? I mean, that puts strain on seniors who have fixed incomes. That puts strain on families who are trying to juggle, childcare costs and those sorts of things. It's a very serious fiscal issue that nobody has had the gumption to take on. Seniors should not be asked to pay an 18% increase in their prescription drug prices. Seniors shouldn't be asking their physicians to get off of medicines because they're too expensive every month. These are very real concerns that Hoeven's not dealing with. He doesn't seem to care.
So, when you take a look at getting into a race like this is a major undertaking. This is a race where it's an uphill climb. John Hoeven is an individual that has been in public office in the state of North Dakota for a long time. How do you distinguish to the North Dakota public when you have less money who you are and why you would make a better candidate? Because that has to be very, very hard.
So I'm tenacious, right? I am a trained problem solver. I grew up in a small town in Nebraska, and I worked really hard to, get through college and, graduated with distinction and, worked hard in an ethanol plant to gain the respect of the people that I worked with and really saw bioenergy as a way to, grow the rural economies that I grew up in. And I pursued that. I worked really hard, and that's who I am every day, and I would do that for North Dakotans. So I'm a trained problem solver, and I'm really good at it, and I don't think that Hoeven is. I don't think he cares anymore. He's not serving North Dakotans. He's serving special interests when he votes. He's not working to implement solutions for the problems that we have here. And I think that if North Dakotans recognize that, it's not such a big hill to climb.
Let me ask this. If you're elected, do you pledge to come back and hold town hall meetings and make yourself available face-to-face to visit with people that might disagree with you, that you represent, that individuals that might not have donated to you, would you promise to make sure they have personal access to you?
Absolutely. I would do that. I think that part of this process and part of being a senator is listening and really making yourself mentally available to the people that you serve. I have called Hogan's office before, and lots of times I am met with, because I am a Democrat, not the kindest reception, right, to my thoughts and concerns. And I don't want to do that to the people in the state. I want to learn from them. That's how you get better, is by listening.
What about the individuals that are going to say, look, you're running for one of the highest positions that the people of North Dakota can elect someone to, and you're not a North Dakotan. You're from Nebraska.
I may be from Nebraska, but my roots are here. I own a home here. 2 of my children have been born here. My other child was 2 when we moved here. This is our home. This is where we'll die. I mean, I am a North Dakotan now.
Katrina, when you take a step back, one of the things that people are going to link you to is, the Biden administration. If you look at the numbers of the Biden administration here in North Dakota, you're going to find that it doesn't have overwhelming support. In fact, it's just the opposite. So if they try to paint you as, Joe Biden, if they try to paint you as just an automatic vote for Joe Biden, what do you say to that?
Well, I'm not. First of all, I am somebody who's really critical. So I like to do the numbers. I really like to look at what people are telling me and make sure that there's a difference between fact and marketing. And so if the Biden administration were to approach me with some idea, I'd have to make sure it wasn't a boondoggle or it was just a feel-good kind of a thing, right? I would do the analysis to make sure that it made sense for the state. And I'm not afraid to say no. I'm here right now, which is evidence that I'm not afraid. So,
let me ask you about renewables, because that's a big part of your life and a part of what you do at the University of Jamestown. Why the passion? Why the passion about renewable fuels?
When I started out in engineering, I really like working with plants, like the kind that grow on the ground and the kind that process things, right? And one of the things that biorenewables did was it really opened up a revenue stream for farmers, right? And it wasn't just going into big ag processing, right? So there's lots of little ethanol, not little ethanol plants, but ethanol plants that are owned by other corporations, right? So there's competition there. But I'm passionate about it because it can really help make a rural community thrive. And I think that there are lots of opportunities in biorenewables that just haven't found the right purchase or the right voice to advocate for them. So, for example, we're all really familiar with corn ethanol because it's so easy to make. Take the starch, you put it with the yeast, and you get ethanol out of the distillation column. But one of the things that corn also has is really good germ, right? So if you could figure out a way to actually make, hybrid corn with a better germ, you get more oil. That oil is really valuable. That germ oil it's really good stuff. So just trying to take some of those concepts that I have a really good technical understanding and bring it into things like legislation that would benefit our communities and our farmers would be really impactful. I don't think Hogan gets that the corn oil. You want to make more money, make more corn oil.
What about the workers? One of the things that John Hoeven has run on, and you could ask him who won the Super Bowl, and he's going to say jobs, jobs, jobs. Well, the one thing that's pretty clear is we have jobs, we don't have the workers to fill them. Is there a role for a United States senator in helping to fill those jobs, to helping to bring workers to the state of North Dakota?
Yes, absolutely. And I think, there are probably some incentives that, you could work toward bringing people here and showing them that it's not just a cold place to live, right? I love my community, and I think some of that is rebranding North Dakota, and part of that is the senator being a voice for the opportunities that are here to fill those jobs and kind of take some strain off of our small business owners.
So not letting people, whatever image they have of our state from afar, be the image they have, to make sure they know more about us.
Right. It's a beautiful, wonderful place to live. And I think that, our senators haven't been very vocal about that, right? I mean, whether you live on the east or on the west side of the state, right, there are really wonderful people for neighbors, and, there's good food, and, there are lots of different events throughout the year, right? I mean, it doesn't have to be a boring place to live. And I just don't think that our senators are giving justice to all of the resources and the people who live here.
Okay. Katrina, I guess we're going to get to know you more. I hope you give us more time another day. And if people want to know more about your campaign or you, where do they go?
KatrinaForUSSenate.com.
Okay. It's that easy. So, Katrina, thank you. Thanks for coming on such short notice. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Joel. I really appreciate it. Have a great day.
You bet. Katrina Christensen, ladies and gentlemen. Let's head to the Weather Cave where we'll find the Tall meteorologist, Too Tall Tom.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate, but also have a sense of...
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page, and send us a text anytime at 35270.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out. And just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just giving the greatest good. We're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night. Got out of the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to.
Anderson here with another Don Agri News Radio.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek
Mighty
Hansen,
790.
Couch Potato Radio. Did
JJ
you
Gordon
see that
from
game?
It Takes Two.
Doug Miller with the morning crew this
Paul
morning.
Jerkins News Radio.
Amy Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Force.
Too tall,
Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your host.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you
investigation that he's conducted for the Biden administration in regards to any involvement Hillary Clinton had in observations of the relationship between, as I see it, or as I read into it, any observations that President Trump had with Russia. And, you know, opposition research, I guess is how I'd put it. There's been an indictment, not one of Hillary Clinton, but of somebody that is involved with Hillary Clinton. I don't know enough about this to broach it as a subject. I don't think that it's, if you look at what he's saying, it's so confusing in terms of an investigation, the dates, the times, and everything that goes with it. I just want to promise you, it will come up. We will talk about it. We will make sure that you can speak to it. We're not going to avoid it. That isn't what we do. If you want that type of thing where all you're going to hear is one side, then tune into a different radio station. Tune into a partisan hack host. That isn't what we do here. And so we'll get to it. I just don't know that there's enough here that we can do without just pure speculation. I also want to point this out. And I've thought about this because I've come in close contact with an individual that had COVID. And, you know, my rules all along when it comes to COVID and what I've encouraged you to do as individuals listening to News and Views is to take the recommendations of the CDC. If the CDC says get vaccinated, trust them. Get vaccinated. The Food and Drug Administration says the vaccine is safe. Trust them. It's safe. I don't know everything about the polio vaccine, the measles, the mumps, the rubella. I just know this, that the Food and Drug Administration and the CDC have told me what's best to do based upon science. Now, that being said, people like myself need to recognize that that's an evolving thing with the new variants, with everything that goes with it. And so if someone like me comes in close contact with someone with COVID, the rules are different today than what they would have been a year or 6 months ago. And I plan on adhering to those rules. I will follow those rules. I will mask up, but it doesn't stop me from being in the workplace. In fact, many companies, that's their policy. Follow the CDC guideline. If you're going to be around people, make sure you wear masks. You're completely safe and okay to go to work. That's what I did. And so I don't know how many of you are doing that, but I'm not going to apologize for the position I take evolving with the CDC. All right. Good riding with you, folks. We'll see you back in this chair tomorrow.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek Hansen, Couch Potato Radio. Did you see
from
that?
It Takes Two.
Doug Miller with the morning crew this morning.
News Radio.
Amy Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Forces. Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your host.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out. And just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just giving the greatest good. When we're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking